Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little catch up here. I've been gone, been busy moving for the last 48 hours. And so tomorrow we should be back. And then Friday, I'd officially set up my whole new kind of like little office space in my new place. So here's hoping that the transfer goes smooth on Friday, but tomorrow I'll still be able to be here. So let's go ahead and take a little peek at the topic of love. But I want to be specific about this and say, um, what does what does somebody remember most? And I say, what do they remember most? I'm having a hard time deciding on a deck right now. And I kind of think that we'll use this one, but not the first one, but we'll start here. Hi guys, Anisha Chatu, Cosmo Guy, Hetty, hi honey, Crystal Suzanne, Nellie, Jay, Carol, Casey, Dee Dee, Rhonda, hi guys. All right, so we start out with Knight of Wands. Okay, so they remember passion. They remember passion for sure. I don't know if this could be a divine masculine. He could have been in the Navy, military. This looks very much like Royal Navy from like Horatio Hornblower era. Doesn't have to be British Navy, but it does look like somebody who wears a uniform. This could be somebody who travels because they wear a uniform. Now, that doesn't have to be like a branch of the armed forces, but rather it could be a delivery driver, a UPS driver. So there's a lot of different things that we could think of. But it does appear that when I say, what do they remember traveling for passion. I don't know if 18 or 186 in particular is important as part of like somebody's address. This like house number 186. I don't know if that's the amount of miles apart somebody would be. I don't know if that's, those numbers could be significant, license plate, anything along those lines. All right, let's take a look. We've got the Five of Swords upright, and we got the Seven of Wands in the reverse. What else does this character remember? They seem to remember the fight. The fight that ended things where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with that. But they also remember, there was loyalty here, right? The dogs are here. But then we have somebody turning away and crying after a fight. I don't know if there was a fight about whether or not this person was faithful, since we do have the dogs. And this card gets a bad rap for being a player. Maybe this is somebody who's like, yeah, I travel for work, but I'm not unfaithful. But if you're going to say I am, then you know what? This isn't an obstacle that I care to try to get over. This is, even if the Seven of Wands, which is a card of struggles, and it's a card of how we overcome problems and struggles. If this is one of those, with the Seven of Wands upright, we've got this person, or excuse me, it was in the reverse, but even if it were upright, we would have this person who's like, hugging somebody, kind of asking for forgiveness or something. And I guess, okay, here's what I would say. If somebody has been faithful and truthful, but there's a fight and they're assuming that you're not, it's like, what? I'm going to beg forgiveness for something that I didn't do wrong? Of course not. I'm going to try to force somebody to believe in me when there's no reason for them not to. I can see how that wouldn't be very fun. On the other hand, the other way we could read this is somebody goes, well, if I am not faithful, then what? I'm going to fight and say, I'm sorry, when I know they're not going to want me if I admit it. So there's no point in staying around. So it just keeps saying that I remember that I didn't see any point in fighting for this or trying to overcome the obstacle. Okay, ugly story so far. Even though we could see a slightly less storyline, I guess what I would say is, if we look at this from a slightly different perspective, and a 5 is a number of change, so it would require us to look at things a little differently. But if this person is like, oh, it's not worth it for me to reassure someone or to build trust with somebody, then I would say that's a pretty self-serving attitude. I understand if somebody's like being accused of things that they absolutely didn't do, and it's like, what is wrong? Like, you're accusing me all the time of stuff I didn't do wrong. I can see how that would be super annoying, but I can also see on the flip side, this is a Knight of Wands. A Knight is not trying to lock anything down. Knights are all over the place, and a Knight of Wands in particular has a not great reputation. So I'm still going to be a devil's advocate here and say, I'm kind of thinking that this person decided, I want what I want. I want to have a good time. I'm going to do what I want. I'm attractive. I look good in my uniform. And if somebody doesn't like something or they want to argue with me at all and the question of loyalty comes up, then it's not worth it. I'm not going to spend my time trying to, they want loyalty basically, and that's not what I'm about. So why would I argue with them to try to convince them that I'll be loyal when I'm only a Knight? I never said I wanted to do loyalty. Even if I haven't been disloyal, still doesn't mean that I want to lock it down. You're asking me for something that I wasn't offering in the first place. Okay, there. That's the best way I could say that. I know it sounds a little bit rude, but that's the way this comes across. Sometimes I try to just spit it out. Page of Pentacles. Here's the crazy part. So they remember the fight. They remember the good loving. And then they also remember that they're like, not worth it to do any argument. But then they also remember either having some kind of dialogue back and forth anyway, or wishing that this person, I'm going to say she, would still want to talk to him, at least like long distance, right? Because this is like, I would like to send her my photograph of my incredible wavy hair. He does have luscious hair. In all fairness, Def Leppard would be freaking jealous, right? That is some awesome. And I'm not mocking. I love big hair. I love no hair. I could care less. If you have hair, if you don't have hair, I think whatever you got, that's what you're supposed to have. I think it's gorgeous. But Two of Swords. So weird because he remembers wanting to still talk to her after saying, oh, it ain't worth it. She's going to have this argument with me. I remember the argument. I remember thinking it's not worth it. I don't care, but I do want to still talk to her. But I also remember that she's not. Did he reach out? Did he let some time pass and then reach out with something really freaking, look, pages are immature. Pages are the little teeny tiny, this could be an emoji text. This could be a little like, you know what? I'm thinking about her. I mean, I'm definitely not going to talk to her about anything serious. And if she said she didn't think I was loyal or was offering enough, I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to disappear. And I'm not going to trouble myself with this. But I'll wait a little bit. And it was some good loving. So maybe I will reach out later. Just a reminder of my gorgeous hair, my sexiness, and just a little something. Not address any of the fight from last time. Not address anything substantial. Because remember, I don't do substantial. I do what's good for me. But I'm going to reach out. But I also remember that didn't go so well. I tried. I sent a little letter, sent a little picture of me, or I certainly intended to. Just a reminder of me. Yeah, she blocked it. In fact, she looked at me with a quelling glance, like, what the hell are you doing? Reaching out to me like nothing happened, like a fight we had that you chose to just exit stage left and not communicate to me. And now you're sending me a little teeny tiny weird reach out, like, what do you want kind of thing. Or she blocked it completely. I mean, the Two of Swords is like, that can just be like, that's it. No thanks. Nine of Cups in the reverse. Here's what I don't like at all. She's crying here. She's not happy here. She's not happy here. And he doesn't seem to give a damn. I'm so sorry. I don't like this story. I'm so sorry that this is, maybe I'm misinterpreting though. You know, just because I'm seeing the two different halves, we're definitely see him taking things so light. He doesn't want to talk about anything that isn't light and that isn't maybe sexy and that isn't maybe a good time. And that is making her unhappy. But he keeps trying to approach her and it keeps making her unhappy. And that part bugs me. So maybe I'm wrong though. Death card in the reverse. It says nothing changed. So let me ask this now. So we know he made at least, one run up the mountain, at her again after having this epic ending. And then he came back and had another run up the mountain, right? Again, with absolutely no change in his behavior, and he got no change from her behavior. So this is the perspective of what does he remember? He remembers all of this. So let me ask this. How does this memory of how things went with her, how does that like impact you, or what's going on here? Seven of Pentacles, High Priestess. Well, guess what? Those memories are on his mind more and more and more. Seven of Pentacles is like over time, either he's never been able to forget this because this actually like took root somewhere in his soul, his behavior, her reactions. You notice he didn't shy away from, she was really upset. She expressed how unhappy I made her. I was not her Nine of Cups. I did not please her. She looked at me with a look of such significance. This is such a sad face that she has. This is somebody who's kind of speechless, you know, and I think that they captured the artwork here so beautifully for somebody that's just kind of like, are you effing kidding me? You know, that's how that comes across. And I wonder if, since he has not shied away from like, oh, she was really unhappy with me. Then again, she was really unhappy with me. Then again, she was really unhappy with me. That maybe like started to sink in over time, because the Seven of Pentacles are the things that are starting to grow. Again, every time he sees her, she's like, oh, she's gorgeous. He sees her sexy. He sees her as somebody that he wants. It's the whole reason he keeps trying to come back in, but he keeps trying to get what he wants instead of be respectful, instead of offer something that would make her want him. Like, that's how I'm looking at this right now. But it's over time. I don't know if he still thinks like maybe she's single, and somebody like her, I should have been maybe like excited that she wanted to have more to do with me than just like a one-nighter. She wanted more from me. How freaking lucky was I that somebody of great value, because Seven of Pentacles is great value. It's somebody who grows, is somebody who has, you know, wealth to offer, you know, depth to offer. And it's like this energy of, you know, perhaps I can go ahead and think about her a little differently, because she wanted more with me. And with that High Priestess, Six of Swords, okay, she got his number and he knows that now. She read him like a book. She knew right out of the gate he was somebody that would be here for a good time, not a long time. He had no serious intentions. He also, I think, as he remembers all of this, and he remembers she was the real deal. She was somebody of value. And deep down, what she was saying, even if she didn't say it out loud exactly, is that you stay on the move because you're running from stuff, and you don't want to last. You don't want anybody to see too much of you. I feel like he knows that. She saw him as a runner. Not so much like, why won't you give me more? You know, I don't think she was like wheedling him, you know, like, you know, don't you want to be my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my long-term? How come you're not asking me to move in? I don't think it was that at all. And I think he knows better, deeper. He's realizing she wasn't begging me to put a ring on her finger. She was sensing that I've been running from things. She knew it. She didn't want to deal with me if that's how I was going to behave. She maybe called me out on it. She's the one who turned her back on me. See, I kind of think that he's, over time, you know how when we think back to things, we start to see how it really was versus what we told ourselves something was. I kind of think that's what we are seeing here. We have a Page of Swords in the reverse. I think he's the one who's starting to think back and realize and remember, I didn't ever see the subtleties of her. Now that time has passed and he can look back and he sees her as somebody of great value, and he sees her as somebody of great depth, spiritual depth, deeply intuitive, who got his number pretty damn quick, and he didn't get hers. Of course not, because you were only here as a knight or as a page, and it was about hot passion, not really making a deeper connection. And if you didn't get what you want, the way you wanted it, you were gone. It was again trying a second time to reach out to her with a kind of a very cheesy, like, hey, remember me? I don't know if he thought he was going to entice her or something and get some sexy talk going, like some flirtatious. It feels very booty call, followed by another attempt at booty call or sexting. I'm sorry, that's just how this reads to me. And it was like, oh, but she wasn't like annoyed necessarily with that. It was a little bit more like, wow, this person really is freaked out about anything more sincere, more intimate, more, they don't want closeness. They avoid it like the plague. And she figured that out about them pretty damn fast. They never figured out anything about her. They weren't even trying to learn about her. And I think it's very interesting that he sees this differently at this point. Emperor. He also sees her as somebody who expects an emperor. Now, she may have thought he could have been emperor material if he'd quit running. It's so funny, isn't it? How at first it was like he was kind of disrespectful, is how we were reading this, right? Like, oh, wow, he doesn't care that he made her cry because all he wanted was, a couple of hot nights. And now in his mind, he's like, oh, no, actually, I was the immature one. It wasn't that she was trying to get more from me and I just was annoyed by, here she is, always wanting to talk all serious. I just want to have some fun. It's that she recognized I kept fleeing and that this either is what she expects to match with, or this is what she expected me to, shouldn't you want to be a grown-up? Shouldn't you want to be a grown-up? Or why are you fleeing being a grown-up? Why are you being Peter Pan? And I almost think that although she didn't say these words, right? A high priestess says a lot without saying it. A high priestess has a look that they give. A high priestess can project their thoughts into the air so that somebody else can hear it without ever moving their lips. They're like the ultimate like ventriloquist for thoughts coming out into the space between two people. I think he was either still tuned out to that, but not really. We can tune out all we want, but we still pick up the message that is being transmitted. And I really think that she conveyed to him in no uncertain terms, this is who you could be. But if you don't want to be that person, even though you certainly have the capacity, if you want to run from that, if you want to be Peter Pan instead of emperor, well, that's your choice, and it just kind of feels like, I don't know, was she sad for them? We have a 5 of Pentacles. We have a 4 of Cups, yeah. And we have the Queen of Pentacles sideways. It's interesting because all of this is like, this is some serious, deep reflection, right? Serious reflection on this one. I said, what do they remember? And they remember the entire situation, but with depth. It's funny because we also have all these black and white cards, and then we have full glorious Technicolor, which I didn't intend to pick 2 different decks for that purpose. But now I'm like, oh, that fits nicely because this is like the memory of what actually happened. And then this is what the aspect of what they missed at that point in time. Now that they're like revamping this and seeing it more clearly in more color. She was sad about the chance that was missed because she's like, you have all the components to be a great emperor, but you're choosing to be a page and you're choosing to be a knight. That's the disappointment. I'm disappointed that you would choose that instead. But I got to go. And in this case, I do think either she was worried that she was becoming here's the thing. There's always this fine line between we see somebody, we see all their potential and we, hope that they'll be the greatest person they can be. Or we cross that line of we're telling somebody what they need to do with their life and we become bossy and controlling, right? And it's like, ooh, gotta watch out for that. And I almost think, maybe this is him reflecting and saying her being disappointed with me was her being kind of bossy and controlling. And he would have an argument to make on that, I think, because of that fine line. On the other hand, there's also she being able to say, I would love to give to you if you were an emperor, but because you're choosing not to be, I cannot give you much of me. No more nights with me. No more let me roll out the red carpet. You can't be a knight and a page and contact me and take another run up the mountain at me and expect that I'm going to welcome you in. Because why do you want me? You want me because I'm a queen, right? Of course you want a queen. A queen is sophisticated. A queen is amazing. A queen is not a knight. They're not a page. They're several steps above. I can see why you'd want into the queen's world, but the queen's not putting out, certainly not for a knight or a page. And it's like, but you could be more. You could be an emperor if you want to be. Oh, you don't want to be? Then that's okay, but you can't have any more. And that's a damn shame that you don't want to be. I feel like we could look at this in all these different little facets of how this dialogue or how this energy could have come across. She has some badassery in her. He says it in the way he thinks of her, right? She got aviators on. She got her leather jacket on. She's got her, she's an old soul that has a very sexy style. She has a certain panache about her. I feel like she's very well dressed. And I feel like there's something about her that is both super mature and super sexy and expecting mature. Like, I think he was trying to stay young. I keep wanting to say Peter Pan. I think this was like somebody that was of a mature age that was acting like just a young buck. And I think that she's looking at him like, we're not, oh, what's a song by Adele? We ain't kids no more. She like fully embraced, like, isn't it better to be a grown up and be sexy and, like fine wine, we age and we have, better loving and we have a connection and we, build something together. But you just want to pop in for a booty call? I mean, like there's times in life, where people aren't looking for anything serious, and that's fine. No shame, no shade. But I'm just saying, then play with the people who want to play. But you can't show up wanting to play a game with people that are playing for keeps. That's just not the way it's going to work. And I think that was the big disconnect. And I think he's seeing that now. And I think he's also kind of remembering, but with more detail, more clarity, that I really didn't pay any attention to what it was she was actually offering, and that she wasn't like, how come you won't marry me or date me? She was disappointed with me that I could have been more and she couldn't give to me because I didn't want to be more. I mean, that's the way this comes across right now. It was just that maturity factor, and it was disappointing because, like, if anything, this is a huge compliment to him, that she saw him as somebody who had amazing potential to be a full-blown emperor, but just chose not to be. And you know what's so ironic about this? 3 of Wands sideways, 2 of Cups upright. We don't see him like making big changes yet. We see him having possibly a thunderbolt moment of awareness. This player, a very immature player who royally effed things up with her, in retrospect, is gaining this clarity. And as he gains this perspective from her version of things and understands more why she behaved the way she did, that's where he's realizing, oh my God, this is a very profound connection. This was a very important person in my life. This was something that had merit, and it had, gravitas, and it could have been fun and sexy and amazing, but also grown up and lasting and secure, and something that would have made like a bond stronger and would have made 2 people feel youthful, but also powerful and mature and wise and sexy and vibrant. Like, he missed the boat in trying to stay young instead of trying to grow up and be sexy and youthful. I mean, youth is something that we hang on to our entire life because it's about our spirit. It's not about a number. I've seen the most sexy, youthful people in their 90s. I mean, oh my God, Charles Aznavour, sex appeal. Patrick Stewart, sex appeal. I mean, there are so many amazing, sexy, men and women that are they're better, they're hotter the older they get. Helen Mirren, like there's so many amazing actors and actresses out there, just for example, and it's like they sparkle, they have the it factor. It's not about age. It's about, maturity, but with like happiness and depth of an intention. And that's where you build something that's really, I don't know if this person feared aging and that's why they wanted to stay super immature. It's just we're playing in this storyline with, images of youth versus images that show us characters that are older, almost like maybe this is about, old soul with a young soul, or somebody who needed to change their mindset on the aging process. And maybe he was clinging to very immature behavior, the Peter Pan thing, instead of realizing it's nice to grow up and you can still stay young and sexy and vital and be a grown up. It's both are possible. And then you get the best of everything. You keep each other youthful and sexy and fun. Instead of booty call, you have a partner and you're thrilled and delighted and keep things fresh and exciting together. There's this element right now where all of this is hitting him like a ton of bricks in this story. Now, the Three of Wands sideways and this whole birthday thing, I don't know if it's her birthday, his birthday, or if there was something important about a birthday. Maybe they hate birthdays since we keep talking about aging in this. But we're not talking about aging. That's maybe what he was fearing. We're talking about like looking at our lives with mature eyes that say my life matters and who I love and who I share passion with. And I mean, obviously he's been hot for her this whole time, right? I want her. I want to go get to her. I want, a night of wands, and then I'll come back and give her pictures of my sexy hair because I know she'll be turned on. That's, hair is like a sign of virility sometimes, symbolically speaking. And I'm not saying it actually means, I'm just saying symbolically that is one of the things it can represent. And so that's why I'm like, he's always been about his virility. And it's like, but forget about the age part and do the grown-up thing. Forget about birthdays and years passing and just get to the really sweet spot in your life where you pick the person you're so turned on by, have been all this time, but we're trying to avoid a mature relationship with, because maybe it was, I don't know, maybe this person is scared of mortality since we do have the death card here, and we have the skeleton, I wonder if transformation scares them and admitting a certain like maturity, getting into a serious connection would be like, oh my God, I've become my parents. I don't know if that makes them think like, and then my life's going to be dull and it's going to be, all of this kind of fits together. Sorry, I had to carry heavy things today. And like all my muscles are sore. And like my abs are so sore. Sorry, I literally like the soreness is just now starting to hit because it was like all adrenaline today. And now I'm feeling my whole body. Speaking of aging. All right, let's get one last message in all this. So that's a lot for this character to remember and reflect on. World card and the moon. Because that happy birthday card was sideways. By the way, I think maybe he's like, my God, she's so freaking hot. She doesn't age. She always looks amazing. And it's like, well, yeah, no kidding. You're always going to be turned on by her too. Because again, even this is such a fallacy that age was ever an issue or that growing up was an issue. It feels like no matter what age bracket she is, he's very like, maybe she's like hotter every year that passes. And that's something that he's noticing as well. Maybe that's what a lot of this reflection is about. But when we see that Three of Wands sideways, that's like in the future, what's going to happen? What am I going to do? Am I going to ever celebrate a birthday with her? Or this could also be him saying, she's going to keep looking better and better, isn't she? I can already tell. I'm not saying that like his attraction is only skin deep. I am saying not at all, because we actually have the Two of Cups. But I am thinking This is not somebody who has ever settled into acknowledging a serious, meaningful connection. And they could be 65 years old and they've never had like a desire to have a really long-term serious connection. That is changing with the world card and all the butterflies here, but the moon card is still here. I kind of think that things are being stripped away in their life right now so that they're forced to look at their subconscious motives. Why did I blow it with her? I'm remembering I really wanted her. I'm remembering everything that happened. I'm remembering she was really unhappy with me, and I'm remembering why and what those arguments or what she said to me. I'm remembering what she actually felt and what she conveyed to me, which is, why am I not an emperor when I had all the possibilities of being one? She was disappointed. And I just feel like this is him having to face all this now, the subconscious, the things he's known all this time. I don't know, other than being aware she is a Two of Cups, looking at this in stark reality and seeing it for what it was. The butterfly says there could be huge transformations for him. Says of course he can do things differently, especially now if he's going to be able to see the things that were previously hidden. And the reason the moon is what typically is like, the moon hides things, right? But those trees are denuded. There's nothing hiding those branches. So I'm thinking that this is like a very big wake up call for him in this storyline is what we see. Let me get one last one and then we'll wrap this up. Temperance. He may have finally reached a place of peace within himself, maybe even just to reflect on this and figure this out. Maybe to have finally realized she was somebody that why did I choose to be Peter Pan instead of an emperor? This is what I could have had. This is what I want to have. This is what I'd like to transform into. I'm not going to say that there's still time or that there's not still time. He can change and should change. All of us should always change if we want to, right? If there's anything that we want to embrace, which this storyline is actually, it's so easy because all it is embracing the fact that at any age, you have a beautiful life. There's not such a thing as like, oh, the good years of my life are over. Hell no. You're to the capacity to have a hot passion and beautiful romance. As long as we're alive, guess what? All that is still within our grasp. We don't have a time in our life where the best years are over. The best years are every year that we're alive. The best years, the passionate years, the years that we can love and be loved, that's every single year that we're alive. We never age out of that. There's no expiration date. That's what this story really boiled it down to. But yeah, interesting. And I didn't expect this one to take us this route. Actually, I'm really pleased that it was a little more thought-provoking message. I always like it when we have messages that are just a little bit more meaty, I'll say. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. Nelly, you're so cute. Casey, Dee Dee. Hey, Bobby. Rhonda, Brave Pink Hero Green. Love your name. That's so sweet. Oh yeah, no, Richard, I'm not a psychic anyway. I'm a tarot card storyteller. I use tarot, but also lots of other different influences for storytelling. It's all fiction. I have no idea, and I don't do that for people anyway. I don't try to answer people's personal questions, but yeah, I hope you do some genealogy if that's your query or your quest. I hope you find the right avenue to get whatever answers you're seeking. Best of luck to you, dear. Lena, hi. Thank you, honey. Dee Dee. Jay from the block, hey. Oh, Angel, that's so great. Angel, that's such a great, helpful response. You're so wonderful. Thank you, love. Queen V, hi, honey. Calm C, so nice to see you, babe. Hi, G. Nancy888, hi. Are you a Capricorn? Awesome. Good to have you in the house. Carol, it is my pleasure, babe. Thank you. Thank you, Calm C. Thank you, Miller. Shout out to you in Australia, Annette. Hi, Dolly. All right, you guys. Have a great evening. Lots of love to everybody. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye for now.